Revenge is a dish best served hot. If you cross David in any way, he's gonna put you on his list and come burn your down. Keep thinking I'm playing. See this lady? Her name is Evelyn. One night, Evelyn and her family are sleeping in their home when it caught on fire. Thank God the whole family made it out of the house unharmed. And this was a couple of weeks before Christmas too, so you know them gifts was hella crispy. What's crazy is that almost a year later in September, the family was preparing to move back into the home after they had got it remodeled. But a week before they were gonna move in, the house mysteriously caught on fire again. My Lord, can you imagine that? Turns out, Evelyn and David knew each other. She worked with him on this project to redistrict the schools in their local neighborhood. And do you want to know what she did to make it on David's list? What horrible thing she must have done to make David want to burn her house down with her family in it. She interrupted him during a community meeting. David was not amused at being disrespected in front of the large crowd. And that was enough for her to make it to the list. And it wasn't just Evelyn. This dude named Justin, he must have really annoyed David, because his home was set on fire on 3 separate occasions. Justin and his wife were also sleeping in their townhome when it was set on fire. He and his family also made their way out of the house to safety, unharmed. And just like with Evelyn, a year later, the same series of events happened to Justin's family, and their home was set on fire again. This prompted the family to move to a new house so they could start over fresh. The family thought they were in the clear until the detached garage exploded 3 weeks after moving in. Well, I told y'all, David is not playing. Now, what's really messed up is Justin is David's stepson. For a brief moment after the first fire, Justin said he suspected that his stepdad is probably the one behind it. I mean, they did have a history of not getting along, and every now and then they got into some pretty heated arguments. I could imagine Justin being like, LeBron's case for GOAT is kind of getting stronger every year. And David thinking, yeah, this boy house going up in smoke. But Justin brushed off his suspicions after David seemed to be one of the first ones willing to help him after the house burned down. How crazy is it to burn a man's house down and help him sweep up the ashes? That's crazy work. So you might be thinking, okay, how does David get caught? Well, in one of these arson cases, investigators began running out of leads. I mean, the criminal never left fingerprints, always wore a hoodie concealing his face. The only piece of connecting evidence was that the person wore a size 10 shoe. So the police went a different route. They posted surveillance footage of one of the crimes on social media and just kind of prayed for the best. That's when an investigator from another county noticed similarities in the arsonist's MOs in a case that he was also investigating. After a little digging, it turns out that these victims who didn't know each other from different counties had one thing in common. They knew the same person, David. At some point, David had offered each of these people help and support after they had posted on Facebook about their homes burning down. When investigators realized who David was, they were taken aback because he was a very important member of the community at one point. Tell me why. David Lee Crawford was a retired police chief in Laurel County, Maryland. In fact, he served on the force for 30 years. Investigators didn't stop there. They continued researching and found out that he was the missing link in over 6 arsons that happened across 6 different counties in Maryland. When police had gathered enough evidence through surveillance, and just the mere fact that all the victims at one point or another had some type of altercation with David, they issued a warrant for his arrest. When police raided his home, one of the first things they did was grab his phone for evidence. And on this man's phone, he had a literal list of all the people who had wronged him. And each time he was able to successfully burn somebody's house down, he put a fire emoji next to their name. And remember, Evelyn and Justin from earlier, they weren't his only victims. This man even burned down his nephew's house. And you want to know why? The nephew unfollowed him on Facebook. One of his former bosses were also on the list, and he burned his house down because he passed him over for a promotion years prior. I'm telling you, this man was crazy as hell. David was charged with 8 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of arson, and 1 count of malicious burning that took place over the span of a decade. The former police chief in Maryland was sentenced to 8 life sentences plus 75 years. Moral of the story? Be nice to everybody you can, because you don't know who's trying to burn your house down. I don't know.